Today we'll be taking a look at a documentary about the average Greek family, Dogtooth, a movie that also happens to be about the importance of canine hygiene. Directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, known for directing that movie about hunting reindeer, the killing of a sacred deer, Kind of Kindness, and Poor Things, Dogtooth is a Greek movie that can only be understood by those yogurt people. Beginning with two females and a male in a bathroom, I quickly panic and I think that I've started the wrong movie, before quickly realizing that I have in fact started watching the right movie, as they're listening to a tape that's teaching them the wrong definition of words for no other reason than I guess spreading misinformation is funny. Known only as son, younger daughter, and older daughter, because having to memorize your kids' names is awfully tough work, we learn that these siblings are of the strange variety, as their idea of fun is seeing who can hold their finger under the scalding tap for the longest amount of time. Classic Greek entertainment. Suffering. We then see the father of the family as he's driving a blindfolded woman named Christine to his house, because it makes him incredibly nervous when women know where he lives. We can see that the house and the property is entirely walled off, as no one is able to see into it, and no one is able to see out of it. The father's extreme hatred for his neighbours aside, we learn that he's actually brought Christina with him today so that she can his son, something that's done in a methodical and matter-of-fact way, giving off the impression that this isn't the first time for either of them, or he just happens to be incredibly weird around women. Christina is then paid for all of her hard work by the father, before once again being driven away from the family home while blindfolded, because motion sickness is afraid of her. I'd have repainted the insides of the car 3 times on the way there. Then again, I'm not banging anyone's socially awkward son. We then see how these children, who actually appear to be incredibly mentally undeveloped young adults, like to spend their free time. The youngest daughter likes to engage in the activity of cutting off various limbs from her Barbie dolls while screaming every time she does it. Something that is incredibly normal for Greek women to do, some would even say encouraged. After dressing up for dinner, we see that being taught the wrong meanings behind words in the bathroom earlier wasn't just an isolated incident, as while sitting there with their parents, the youngest daughter asks her mother if she can have the phone, preceded by her mother passing her the salt, because unfortunately they are all suffering from dementia and have no idea what's going on. The movie seems to be at least somewhat inspired by the ancient Greek philosophers Plato's cave analogy. In short, you raise a bunch of people in a cave with no understanding of the outside world, so everything in that cave becomes their reality. They only know what they know. For these kids, their entire reality and understanding of the world is locked behind those big walls, while their parents feed them blatant misinformation with a healthy dose of child abuse. They have no concept of anything other than what they've experienced or what they've been told, which is mostly just nonsense. And to further emphasize this, we just need to see their behavior as they choose the entertainment for the night, a movie. And by a movie, I mean a home video that they very clearly watched 100 times at this point, as the youngest daughter is mimicking everything that's said with exact timing, while the other two are smiling away as if it's the best thing that they've ever watched. And that's how I expect you to watch my videos. We then see the son partaking in one of his all-time favorite pastimes, being mentally unwell, as he proceeds to have a conversation with the bushes about who cleans the car the best, while his parents watch him from their window, wondering where they went wrong in life. In retaliation for making unsolicited awkward small talk with the foliage, the parents force him to put a cap full of mouthwash in his mouth and keep it there until they say, because nothing says I love my children quite like physically abusing them. My dad must have really loved me. And almost the entirety of this movie can be best summed up as, weird Greek family does weird Greek things that are not connected to each other until about the final 20 minutes. And that is because, well, this movie is basically just a weird Greek family doing weird Greek things. It's not just a bunch of random nonsensical events, it does have a purpose. It offers a glimpse into their daily lives and helps us understand why it is that they are the way they are. It's just a slow burn. Unlike the Listerine in the mouth. They watch as a plane flies above them, but having little to no understanding to what a plane actually is, they wish that it would fall to the ground. Not just because the idea of hundreds of people helplessly hurtling towards the ground brings them joy or anything, but because they want to catch it like a toy. Having no actual understanding, the perspective changes the size of things. At least that's what I tell my wife anyway. But in response to hearing them talk about it, the mother slaps the eldest daughter in the face for being a stupid little daughter, telling her whoever deserves it will get it. And despite being locked away for the entirety of their lives with little to no knowledge of the outside world, they still have been given the ability to learn things. The youngest daughter, interested in medicine and the human body, is able to help her older sister when she says that her stomach is hurting. And by help her older sister, she pretty much tells her that there's nothing wrong with her and that she should just get over it. But she suddenly goes from expressing an understanding of medical knowledge to suddenly asking her sister if she'd like to play with her, an extreme juxtaposition between the two types of her personality. Playing games being something something that these siblings are apparently quite fond of, as they go from burning various body parts in scalding water for fun to inhaling anesthetic and passing out for fun. And despite this family being incredibly strange and unusual, we see that even the father isn't exempt from the modern slavery known as having a job, so every day he leaves his weird little Greek family to go to work with his weird little Greek employees. You see, he's tired of working to make the rich man richer. He's come up with a way to stick it to the man, conducting the world's worst social experiment on his children. While he's not busy trolling his children by spreading misinformation like a Russian bot on Facebook, he's busy spreading misinformation about his wife, as he's been telling people in work that she's in a wheelchair, before immediately seeing her moving around with her strange mysterious wheelchair that just so happens to look like normal walking human legs. After some more weird shenanigans with the very mentally well and adjusted family, we see that Christina is picked up and brought over to the house again for some bonding or whatever, but the son isn't interested in doing what she wants done. So instead, once she's done doing what he wants, she turns her attention towards the eldest daughter and asks her if she'd like her hairband. The sister says yes, and with her childish nature, offers Christina a pencil and a tape measure to trade for it, because why would she be thinking of anything else? But unfortunately, that's exactly what Christina wants. Something else. Women always wanting something, am I right? She removes her trousers and tells the sister what she wants done, with the elder sister proceeding to do it with little to no hesitation due to not understanding the nature of the request because of her sheltered and bizarre upbringing. But due to not understanding the reason behind the request, she believes that it's just something that you ask people to do in exchange for something else. She then goes to her younger sister and tells her that if she would like her new headband, then she must do something for her. But instead of removing her trousers like Christina, he must have just been overheating or something, I don't know. She instead has her sister lick her shoulder, because once again, she believes that it's just the act of licking that makes this transaction. That, or a basic understanding of human anatomy, is slightly off. This group of siblings might be isolated from the rest of the world. They might have chloroform for fun. They might think the salt shaker is called a telephone. But do you know what they have in common with siblings all over the world? Physical violence. The older sister and brother begin fighting over a toy airplane like a pair of children, because mentally, that's exactly what they are. A pair of children. Well, maybe an apple. And after managing to get a hold of the airplane, in a classic sibling move, the sister proceeds to throw it out of the property, specifically to spite her brother, because she knows that he can't leave to get it. Just like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato said, "You're a prick." After throwing the aeroplane out of the garden and ensuring her brother cannot get it, not only does she have the satisfaction of denying him it, but she also wants the satisfaction of his physical pain, as when he walks back into the house, she slices him with a kitchen knife as she mistakes him for a piece of cake. The next day, after receiving his new flesh wound, while out in the garden doing cartwheels, the son comes across the disgusting sight of a cat, and due to the unfortunate circumstances of being a Greek person, is overcome with the extreme urge to kill and disembowel the creature. It must be a cultural thing. I won't judge. Upon finding out about his son's heroic deed against the violent lion in their backyard, before returning home, his father proceeds to cut up his clothes and cover himself in fake blood, before telling the children that their brother was torn apart by one of those horrific creatures known as cats, because he ventured from the property. A brother that I didn't even know they had, and a brother that I don't even think they know they had. Now that's some next level psychological abuse. He tells them that cats devour the flesh of children after shredding them to pieces with their claws, something that every cat owner can surely attest to. So in order to keep his family safe from the dastardly creatures, he decides to teach them some high-level self-defense techniques just in case they're ever invaded by a race of evil cats, getting on their knees and barking as loud as they can. After a long day of lying to their children for literally no reason whatsoever, while sitting on the sofa and watching highly inappropriate adult films together, the mother tells the father that she's pregnant with twins. So wanting to share this amazing news with his children, the next day he tells them that in a few months their mother will be giving birth to 2 children and a dog. So that's where puppies come from. The girls say that they don't want to share their bedrooms with anyone, so in order to assure that they are all well behaved, the mother says that maybe if they're good, then maybe she'll just avoid giving birth. It'll be just like holding in a really bad fart. At dinner the next evening, the father is quizzing his kids on completely made up facts that he made up for literally no reason, before asking them when is a child ready to leave the house. To which the eldest replies, when your dog tooth falls out, and when it grows back, you'll be able to drive a car. I just thought that was common knowledge, really. After a nice meal together, they decide to listen to their grandfather sing. Their grandfather, who happens to be Frank Sinatra apparently, as that's who the father puts on the record player, while making up his own translation to the English words as his children awkwardly dance. We see that Christina continues to visit the son because she thinks abuse is fun, where she decides to tell him about her dream where she saw him as a zombie, and naturally he has no idea what a zombie is. To which his mother tells him, a small yellow flower. Ah yes, how could I forget? The zombie lion. However, helping one of the siblings isn't enough. Christina is a competitive woman, and those numbers need to go up. So she continues to manipulate the eldest daughter into doing things for her, this time offering her hair gel. Hair gel that the eldest daughter doesn't want. Instead, she wants the 2 VHS tapes in her handbag in exchange for licking, otherwise she'll tell her father what they've been up to, and hell hath no fury, like a short Greek man. Once the deed is done, that night she secretly watches the tapes and begins reciting lines from Rocky in the morning. She then begins shadowboxing while doing an honestly quite impressive Stallone impression, unable to just not be a little bit weird. While in the pool with her siblings, she begins to recite lines from Jaws, while continuously pretending to be a shark attacking her brother when he very clearly doesn't want her to, something which catches the attention of their father, leading to him eventually being told the truth. And upon finding out that his daughter has been watching some absolute cinematic classics from the 70s, he has her tape one of the VHSs to his hands, which he uses to beat her over the head with, as he doesn't really understand how you're supposed to use them. After beating his own daughter for being more of a Blu-ray man himself, he heads over to Christina's house to pay her a visit. And while sitting and chatting with her, being a fan of beating women with movie-related hardware, he calmly and casually unplugs the VHS player before using it to beat her over the head. And after he's done screaming about the HD capabilities of Blu-ray, he stares at her for a while as she lays on the floor, before giving perhaps one of the best insults that I think I've ever heard: I hope your kids have bad personalities and develop bad habits. This is the point where the movie finally starts to divulge from being a documentary about your average Greek family and begins to follow some sort of story. Well, apart from the story that involves the licking of people. One night, the parents are woken up to the sounds of their son's cries, because not only is he just a little crybaby, but he's also been attacked by a hammer. He tells his parents that his younger sister attacked him with a hammer while he slept, but she tells them that he is lying, and that she saw one of those evil cats jump out of the window while wielding a hammer. And from my own personal experience, I think that this situation is very likely. In a twist that absolutely nobody saw coming, isolating your children from the world and deliberately making them incredibly strange people is starting to have negative hammer-related side effects. The parents have no one to blame but themselves. Well, maybe the cats. With Christina beaten over the head for daring to expose the father's kids to such horrors, known as Sylvester Stallone, she is no longer welcome back at the family home, so the mother suggests that they find a replacement. But the father, being rather frugal, realizing that he already has 2 perfectly good young women in the house already, and that all the son needs to do is choose which one he'd prefer. Oh god. After they join him in a bath for a rather strange sister choosing ritual, I don't know, I'm not too familiar with the concept, he ends up choosing the eldest sister. The eldest sister, who was taken by her very own mother to his bedroom for a scene that does not look to be simulated at all, so instead I'm going to insert a funny clip of someone falling over.
You wanna play a little game?
After they're done, she tells him, "Do that again and I'll rip your guts out," something which is not a quote from either Rocky or Jaws, as it seems that she's starting to develop her own way of speaking based on those movies, as now her only external influences are beating people up and being consumed by an angry shark called Bruce. The next day, for their parents' wedding anniversary, the children decide to put on a performance for them. The 2 daughters are going to dance, while the brother plays the guitar. And while the 2 daughters are going to dance while the brother plays guitar, I mean that the 2 daughters are about to have a seizure while standing up, while the brother plays the guitar. The youngest sibling sits down because she's too tired, leaving the eldest to continue alone, where she then appears to finally have a psychological break or something that simply won't stop, as this is perhaps the most awkward dance that I've ever seen, and I've been inside a Welsh nightclub. Due to the outside influence that she's been exposed to, something has been triggered in the eldest sister, and I'm not just talking about those dance moves. She's seen a glimpse of the outside world, albeit a fictional one in movies, but she wants to experience it for herself. With the children being told that it's not safe to leave the property before their dog teeth fall out, or else risk being attacked by ravenous cats with hammers, the eldest daughter decides to take matters into her own hands. And by matters, I mean a weight. A weight that she uses to repeatedly beat herself in the face with until smashing out her canine tooth and 1 extra for good luck. with everything that she's been told now indicating that it's safe to leave the property, while the entire house is asleep, she exits while covered in blood and hides herself in the boot of her father's car, where she's locked inside. After walking into the bathroom and realizing that the Tooth Fairy has been rather violent this time, the father quickly runs from the property and out into the darkness, while the other siblings and the mother begin barking at the gate, just like they were taught to do, in case there's any of those evil cats out there. And after being unable to find the daughter and sister, the son and remaining daughter kiss each other on the lips to comfort each other, must be a Greek thing, so their father proceeds to go on about his life as if absolutely nothing has happened. The next day, heading to work for another stressful day of making up lies about his wife, he leaves his car and parks it outside of the factory, just like he would any normal day, while the camera lingers on the boot of the car as the daughter makes no attempt to free herself, as she's likely suffocated after trying to become a transformer. And just like that, one daughter and one cat down, the movie comes to an end. A deep, meaningful, philosophical movie that leaves us with a moral: don't show Rocky or Jaws to the people living in the caves. So before this video comes to an end, I'd like to just give a massive shout out and a big thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons, the people who every month continue to go out of their way to help support the channel. If you're interested in becoming a YouTube member or patron yourself, not only are you just generally being a great help to the channel, but you also get access to a few little perks, like being able to join the private Discord server, where you can then get links to all uncensored versions of videos going forward. So starting off with this week's new YouTube signups, a big thank you to Alan Askaya, Not Emmett, Alan Bigwood, Yunus Amir Yavuz, JP Hatecraft, Giant Mutant Ant, Zaza Lord, Salmon Dinner, Bullies, Slissa Burnham, Chris, Eric Britton, Lord Demoose, Alex Moon, Mano Ferrero, Thiago Urate, Jeff Kind, Pedrux Gamer JP, Tolito, Kenny HH, Vessa Pitson, The Lord of Stuff, Gremlin Absolute, Contron 18, Black Fairy, Ryan Birch, Ashley Taylor, Miriam Howie, Matthew Sabo, Private Tekken, Pineapple, and Stephen McCommerce. And now heading over to this week's new Patreon signups, a massive thank you to Jordan Santiago, Bystromic, The Nutcracker, Sean Gertkins, James H, Lucas, Jesse Miracle, Tyler Lloyd, Dax Jacobs, No, Justin, Lucas Schroll, Donovan Preston, The Beard Gamer Laku, Tommy Kun, Alpaca, Jesse Reach, John, Matthew Strickland, Teedcorn, and Robert McDavitt. So once again, a massive shout out to all of the YouTube members and patrons, and a big thank you to everyone else for watching.